Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your Energy and Ascension forecast for Sunday, March 12th to Saturday, March 18th. So last week was a little bit of a doozy. We have the full moon in Virgo, followed by Saturn moving into Pisces energy to thanks for that. Very heavy, very emotional, very physically, I'm going to say pressurized, exhausting, stomach sick, head pressure. Of course, we had the CMEs, the solar flares, solar winds popping off the sun in pretty much the exact same time, the same time frame, same window, if you will. I'm a true believer that, just following the Schumann Resonance for as long as I have, that these solar flares really do kind of line up with the astro events that take place. And I think over the course of last week, we definitely seen the evidence of that. Very, very strong, powerful bursts coming into the cosmos around those times. And of course, that full moon in Virgo energy is still very much lingering. Saturn, again, Saturn moving into Pisces, we're going to need a little bit of time to adjust to that. We're in Pisces season. Mercury's in Pisces. Saturn's now in Pisces. We're in the final stage of this old calendar. We are at our wit's end, at our breaking point, and we're exactly where it is that we need to be. So this last week was kind of the last boom, boom, pow, if you will, to put us in a situation for TKO, because we definitely need to hit those ropes and kind of slam our pretty faces down on that ground before we're going to get revived and resurrected again when we move into Aries energy. But first, we got to get through this week. Happy to let you know that this is the last week of Pisces season, the last week of the old calendar, the last week of Mercury being in Pisces, and the last week of Venus being in Aries energy. We got a lot going on. So we're definitely going to be wrapping up, closing the door, in most cases, nailing that sucker shut on a lot of things. And, this week we have a pretty important aspect taking place. Jupiter conjuncting Chiron on the 12th. That is another huge indicator of the endings, the closures that we're providing, because this is a huge amount of healing. And, Jupiter conjunct Chiron hasn't happened, especially in this Aries energy, for 50 years. Of course, the last time they were conjunct, I think it was about 14 years ago, but it was not in Aries energy. Aries energy is important because it is a clean slate. It is a brand new chapter. It is a fresh start. It is initiation of something new. And because Jupiter and Chiron are in this Aries energy, it has a lot to do with our ego, our image, our identity, our sense of self. And we're unpacking a lot of the emotional and spiritual baggage that we've been carrying, not just because of Jupiter and Chiron, but because of Saturn moving into Pisces, because of that full moon in Virgo, asking us to kind of sort through the details on what it is that we're leaving behind and what it is that we need to take with us. And it's a very, very important time for us to really kind of realize how many patterns are overlapping, how many cycles are overlapping, and where they're all leading us to kind of close the door and really end things and bring things to a full completion point as we prepare to actually move in to this brand new year. So we also have the last quarter moon in Sag taking place on the 14th. And that's going to be very important for a couple of reasons. First of all, the last quarter moon is always like an aha moment, a realization of where we are bringing things full circle, especially in consideration to the last lunar phase. But having it take place in Sag energy, it will be at 24 degrees. So the latter part of the degrees does kind of suggest that we are bringing something to an end. And what we are bringing to an end is revealing a new truth, a new mission, a new purpose, a new path, a new direction, a new adventure. And of course, that's what we've been waiting on, is a little bit of clarity, if you will, on what that's actually going to mean for us. Venus will be taking her rulership on the 16th. She moves into Taurus energy. Yes, things are going to slow down just a tad where our emotions are concerned, where our, I'm going to say, values are concerned. We are kind of slowing down just a tad because once we enter into that Aries energy, we're going to have all of these planets and fire signs really pushing for us to take action. And we need some kind of grounding point, some kind of element to pump the brakes so that we're not doing too much too fast, if you will, especially disrupting the balance, the peace, the equilibrium that we're trying to find in this new Venus cycle. Of course, she is in Aries energy. She just opened up and initiated a brand new cycle for her emotions, for her worth, for her value. And we definitely don't want to destabilize that particular energy and effort. So we're going to see that that shift with Venus moving into her rulership as a very powerful energy, definitely grounding, stabilizing, but powerful energy to help us out so that we can kind of remain in our footings and keep our bearings as we kind of go through this wish-washy cycle at the end of Pisces energy. And of course, as we kind of light the fire underneath our butts and in our heart space to start something new when we enter into the new calendar with Aries season. So we do have a lot coming at us. We are going to experience the highs, the lows, the everything's in between, to be quite honest with you, as far as the energy goes and the Ascension symptoms go. I do want to jump into those Ascension symptoms here in just a moment, but I have a couple of things that I want to talk about first. And let's just start with a couple of thank yous. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for liking, sharing, commenting. I want to thank you for spending your time, your energy with me. And I also want to thank you for the beautiful messages that many of you took the time to send my way to kind of remind me of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And not that I constantly need reassurance and validation from, from those that I help that I don't hear about because y'all just kind of stay behind that curtain. I don't need that, but my goodness, what a nice reminder that is. Very heartwarming over this past week, those little messages just to let me know that, I am helping in some kind of way, especially through this crazy ride. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for those of you who have sent monetary donations. My goodness, thank you so much. Y'all are just really making up for the hit that I'm taking because of this channel and this algorithm. Y'all are just so sweet, so generous, so kind-hearted. I really do appreciate that. And of course, I appreciate those of you who have jumped over to Patreon and have, kind of decided to support me over there. It is super, super appreciative. I'm not sure if those of you who are on my Patreon, if you had an opportunity to check out that first episode of Astro Class. It's a new kind of program that I'm putting out. There's no better way to learn about astrology than kind of jumping in and dealing with it in real life terms. I will have a new episode dropping this week. I think I'm going to pick Wednesdays in order to drop Astro Class episodes. So if you're interested in kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive in astrology, I would definitely recommend that you jump over. It's probably the cheapest way that you're going to learn about astrology. I try to make it affordable. I do not really believe in all of these extreme prices that I see a lot of content creators out there charging for their workshops and private classes and all this kind of crap. I'm really not down with that. Of course, I can't pay my bills with likes. So I do have to charge something. But to include that in the Patreon subscription is kind of where I'm thinking it's best. It's the best exchange for both parties. So hopefully that Astro Class is something that, kind of kicks off and something that, will definitely help all of us kind of gain a little bit of more perspective on how we can use astrology to really push our own evolvement and, of course, help the creation, the initiation of New Earth. So I want to thank you so much for that. I just wanted to give you all a heads up. Those that were on my waiting list had an opportunity to go ahead, get first dibs on my booking schedule for March. My Patreon members should have taken advantage of that heads up as well. So now I'm opening it up to you guys. And I did bring the mini reading back. A little bit of a heads up. If you were a first-time client, please do not book a mini reading. Please do not even book a 30-minute session. If you are a brand new client, we've never had a session together before, it is definitely recommended a 60-minute energy reading. Even that particular time frame is not enough to cover what I usually cover. But I felt the need to put the mini reading back out there. It was a service that I offered a long time ago, and then I kind of felt like people weren't really understanding what it was meant for, so I took it off. My my services that I offer. But sometimes you're in a situation in life where you need an answer. You need a little bit of guidance. It's not like you want to know your whole life path or anything like that. It's just like, maybe you were offered a new position, you're offered a new job, the money says yep, but your heart says no, and you're having a hard time, you're looking for some validation or something like that. Those are the types of situations that you would book a mini reading for, where I can just jump in with a general topic and theme, with see where your chart's at, see what your guides have to say about it, and provide you with a straight answer. So I thought that would be helpful, because I know that a lot of people right now, we're dealing collectively with a choice point. We have decisions to make. We have new paths to follow. We have new directions that are presenting themselves to us. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. And as much as I encourage you to trust your own intuition, your own inner voice, your own guidance, and the validation and synchronicities of the universe around you, I do understand that some people just need that extra little oomph of validation. And I'm hoping that, putting that mini reading back on the roster is the kind of service that, would help particular situations out in those circumstances. So I didn't get too ahead of myself. I only put out appointments for March. There's still a couple left. And I think I'm just going to take it 1 month at a time so that I don't overwhelm myself like I did at the beginning of the year. The other thing that I want to talk about, if you've been with me for a while, you would know that we were talking about, I asked, I think it was, the end of last year, coming into the new year, if you guys thought that, me creating workbooks or e-guides would be helpful for the seasons. And I had an overwhelming response to that. You guys definitely said that would be helpful. I know moon guides are out there, but sometimes, they can get repetitive when you've been doing them for long enough and you understand your moon sign and the cycle and, when you can grow and when you should kind of sit back and surrender to the circumstances around you. But I've been working on, of course, I tried to bring it to life at the end or at the beginning of 2023. And I thought to myself, well, this is kind of silly. Here I sit preaching about not bringing new things to life until we enter into the new calendar. And here I was trying to bring new workbooks to life, and it just wasn't working. So I held off, and I decided that I'm going to release them per season. So, I definitely am going to continue to put out, zodiac forecast at the beginning of each month, like I currently do for my subscribers and for those of you that want to download them one by one from my website. But I am shifting gears, and we are going to start creating a little bit more time and attention, a little bit more of a focus, if you will, on tackling the zodiac seasons as they arise. So over the next couple of days, you will see that opportunity on my website to download the workbook, which I think I'm going to go back and call e-guides. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I started doing all of these things about 15 years ago, and very rarely did I ever have anybody download an e-guide or anybody download a moon guide. Nobody was really into all of this stuff when I was creating all these things. So over time, I thought to myself, you know what, the time and the energy that I'm putting into this, it's really not worth it. And then, of course, we had the Great Awakening in 2020. People became a little bit more interested in doing the healing work and doing the journey work. So I brought some of the resources that I kind of, put the kibosh on back. And it seems to be working. It seems to be helpful. So not that I did the workbooks or the e-guides in the same kind of format that I plan on doing them now, but I was definitely taking each of the astro events and making a workbook, an e-guide out of it to try and help people do a deep dive into their chart and into the energy and what they could learn from it. And they weren't very popular. So now I'm trying it again in a different format. If you are interested in working with energies and learning about astrology and learning about yourself, I would definitely recommend that you jump on board, especially where we're starting this with a brand new astrological calendar, Aries season, the spring equinox. We have all of these monumental shifts taking place with the heavy hitting planets moving into different signs. This would be a great time to start investing in yourself and investing in your healing journey. So I will, when they're ready, I will definitely let y'all know in my daily energy forecast and probably a couple posts about it as well. I'll keep reminding you, but yeah, this is the last week that we have to deal with the wrapping up, the closures and the endings before we get the party started and move into that Aries energy, that fire energy, which we all are very, very eager to jump into. And hopefully the e-guide is going to be a helpful resource in order for you to navigate each season as it comes to us. So I just needed to put a shameless plug about that out there. Regardless, I thank you just for being here, for the love, for the energy, for the presence. So let's jump in and talk about the Ascension symptoms for this week. Well, first of all, let me just remind you that we are in the last spin cycle, the last rinse cycle, if you will, of the lovely laundry analogy that I've been using that people seem to enjoy. So we're using it once again. Now, it does not feel good to literally just be beat down and spinned around and up and down and all over. Okay, the confusion, the exhaustion, the disorientation, if you will, is a little bit much. Many of us just at a breaking point where we're just like whiny and cryy. We don't want to do this anymore. We've had enough. We're tired of, the exhaustion, the weight, the heaviness, the emotional outbursts, just the never-ending list of effery. Let's just put it that way. It will change. It will end. I can promise you that. I can guarantee you that. We every year get in the same funk, the same mindset, the same depression, the same exhaustion, all over again. It's cyclic in nature. It's a pattern. It's a cycle. And it can feel like we're never going to bust out of this. I do understand that. I feel it too. It's like, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? And I have to remind myself too, guess what? Countdown's on. We only got 1 week left. Thank goodness for that. So just, you know what? Dig deep. I know we've been digging deep. I know we've really, put our best foot forward in being able to hold on for dear life, but please just do what you can to hold in there and just kind of be patient with this process as we wrap this particular cycle up. So of course, that all of those whiny, complaining, exhausting, confusing, disorienting vibes are going to continue, and they're likely, hate to be the bearer of bad news, they're likely going to intensify the closer that we get to closing Pisces season out and the closer that we get to opening Aries season up. It's just the nature of the beast at this particular point in time. Now this week, I want you to pay attention to waves of energy coming over you. And you will likely be able to clearly define when this happens. Kind of feels like goosebumps, kind of feels like electricity. And it really does just come out of nowhere and wash over you. I would say that we would be mostly on the side of coldness. I would say on the outside of our bodies, our extremities, coldness. Inside, we might be running hot. But these waves are very, very interesting, and they're a very healthy indicator that the realignment, the recalibration, the re-energizing, the revival, the renewal is taking place within us. So, we have a full system calibration happening here to our energy, to our vibration and frequency. And that's why it's a little bit disorienting in Pisces season, because we don't feel like ourselves. We can't identify our own energies. We're having a hard time meshing with other people because their energy is changing as well. Kind of adds to the isolation, to the solitude that we feel in Pisces season anyways. We feel like we're a lone wolf. We feel like we're the black sheep. typically speaking, we are, but we actually feel that loneliness and that isolation, that solitude that much more in Pisces season, just because we're not even comfortable in our own skin and our own energy because of the recalibration, the realignment that's going on in preparation for us to be, reborn, rebirthed in this Aries energy and in this brand new calendar. So I want you to pay attention to those sensations. It will likely be a full body wave, but I want you to kind of pay attention to which way it comes in and which way it's going. So if it's, starting at the top of your head and going down to your feet, that's an interesting observation that the recalibration surge of energy is coming from the cosmos. You're receiving that from the higher realms of intelligence, and it's coming through your crown and it's working its way down through your spine, through all the different chakras, and it's moving down through your feet into the earth. If it's coming the other way, it means that you are revitalizing and realigning with Gaia, with Mother Earth herself. So if you feel that wave, that tingle, that electricity coming, from the bottoms of your feet, working its way up through your body and then out your crown, that's an indicator that you're more connected to Gaia at this particular point for this recalibration. And you could have it the other way too. It could come like, when the wind hits you from the back and you get goosebumps from your back that kind of come to the front. That would be an interesting indicator that there is a huge amount of healing and transformation going on, especially through the generational bloodline of your family, because of course, anything that happens in our back that we're not seeing, it's coming from the past. It's coming from things that have already happened, experiences that have already kind of created and molded us into who it is that we are. And in the same token, if the wave is coming at you, or the wind, the electricity, the goosebumps are coming at you in the front and then moving to the back, it is the energy blast coming from your future self in order to kind of cleanse you from the front to the back, preparing you to set your sights, your vision on the path that needs to be walked in order to get to the situation, the circumstance, and the scenario that your future self is anchored in and needing you to get to. So there's a lot of different indicators that we can take from where this energy is actually coming from and how it kind of encompasses your body. Just pay attention to what you're thinking about, or the situations, the circumstances that you're dealing with when these particular waves hit you, because that's an indicator as well that you're being sent a validation on some of the things that you're talking about or thinking about or feeling or experiencing. So there's a lot of crypticness that comes from these ascension symptoms as well. I feel like we're going to have a headache, maybe even a migraine, when there is a huge push in energy. I'm going to tell you right now, you can mark this on your calendars. Sunday, huge day. Tuesday, huge day. Thursday and Friday, monumental days. Saturday, I'd throw that in there as well. However, it is a lesser day compared to Friday. Friday, if I could pick one day out of this week that is going to be a banger of a day, it's going to be Friday. There's 14 different aspects going on. Some of the different aspects that we have outside of the moon are monumental shifts, very intense energies that are needed in these last days of Pisces season to really break up the cluster effery still holding on in our energetic bodies, in our DNA. So we really want to pay attention to that. But when we have monumental energetic days, it normally affects us in our headspace because we're receiving those light codes from the cosmos. And I know many people complained of migraines and moving headaches around the full moon. And let me just remind you, put a hat on, wrap a scarf around your head, put a hood up. We have to protect that crown. And if you can do so with the color black, by all means do so, because that will slow them down. Doesn't stop them. We don't want to stop them, but sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. And we got to do what we got to do in order to protect ourselves and monitor the amount of information and downloads that we're actually able to receive. If it's coming to a point where it's debilitating us, and we can't physically function in our day. So I want you to pay attention to the head pressure, to the headaches, to the migraine. A lot of this is connected to the brightness that we're seeing in our eyes, the colors, the vibrancy that is being kind of adjusted in our eyes. And again, just a reminder, we are opening up the visual spectrum that we're able to actually perceive with our eyes, and therefore everything is lighter and brighter and more intense. And because of the changes in our eyesight, of course, that has a major impact on our nervous system, our sensory inputs, if you will, and can create a lot of pressure in the head. I want you to pay attention to the fact that we're going to be having a lot of neck pain, mostly related to the pressure in the head, but also in the jaw. We might have some toothaches going on, maybe some teeth sensitivity, a lot of tension in our jaw, locking our jaw, grinding our teeth. That is definitely going to be part of it, because like I said, we're being tossed around like a wet rag doll this past week and this next week in order for us to kind of finish up this cycle. So we have to be a little bit mindful of what that does to the physical body. And, neck pain, well, not saying we have a severe case of whiplash, but it's kind of like that. Jaw, like we're just holding on for dear life. We've been screaming through most of it, spiritually and energetically speaking. Our souls have just been screaming through it. Our voices are tired. We're having these throat chakra clearings and activations. There's a lot of tension when you clench your jaw and you're just holding on for dear life. And that can have a negative impact as well on your teeth. And which teeth are having the most aches and pains? It's a good indicator. Take a look at the Chinese tooth map and how that connects to different organs of your body, because that could be a clear indicator on where it is that you still have some energy blockages that you need to acknowledge and that you need to unpack. In regards to the mouth, I want you to also pay attention. There could be a very funky film kind of being created this week. Yes, we are having changes in our taste buds, so our whole mouth kind of tastes differently. Our spit, our saliva is of a different consistency, tastes a little bit off, tastes a little bit funky. We're going through a recalibration, a realignment, so we just have to be cautious that is a indicator of things changing as well. We will be having a little bit of a heart activation this week, and a lot of that is going to be around Jupiter and Chiron coming together, conjunct, allowing us to kind of, I'm going to say, put the emotional baggage that we didn't know that we were carrying down. And there's a difference. Some of us know the emotional baggage that we're carrying, very aware of it, right? Always on our conscious mind. Oh, I act this way because this happened to me when I was a kid. Or, oh, I have daddy issues, so this is why I do this. Or, oh, I'm self-sabotaging because, 15 years ago, I got into a good place and, totally ruined it for myself, and now I don't feel like I deserve anything good, and I did something bad, blah, 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 blah. The guilt, the shame, the bullshit, okay? Where some of us are very consciously aware of the emotional baggage that we carry around. Many of us, even if we are aware of how many suitcases we are carrying, there are always these like ghost baggages that we're carrying. This is the unconscious realm of our emotions, of our trauma, of our experience. And I feel like that is what Jupiter and Chiron are really coming together to kind of help heal. I don't know if it is going to be an aha moment where we actually are like, oh, damn, that's coming to the forefront of my mind. I didn't even know that was an issue. Or if it's just going to be like we wake up, we take a deep breath, we realize that this was the first time we've actually felt like we took a deep breath in a very long time. It feels lighter, feels a little bit fuzzier, and suddenly we didn't even know that a weight that we didn't know that we were carrying suddenly gets lifted. It could go many different ways. I also think that some heart activations are going to come in just because we have Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, ruler of this heart space, kind of, shifting out of this very bold and aggressive and assertive energy of Aries energy for her to take her place of power in Taurus, where we're going to kind of slow things down a little bit. We got to slow our roll. We really got to kind of stop and smell the roses. get in touch with our physical bodies again. It is a physical and sensory experience that Venus and Taurus is looking for. And we do have to kind of, shift gears, but she is going to allow us to kind of slow the roll down a little bit. And because of that, we're really going to get in touch with that heart space as well. So heart activations are on the way. Also on the way, some clarity, some vision, some truth, some meaning, some purpose, some understanding, especially with the last quarter moon in Sag. And again, this is a very confusing time that we're in because, Pisces season, cycles ending, multiple planets in their ending cycles, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, also in Pisces energy. And that can be confusing all in itself. But the confusion is needed in order for clarity to come. The breakdown is needed in order for the breakthrough to come. And we are in the last stage, the last chapter, the last week of this very overwhelming energy where we are going to start seeing why things had to happen, where we are going from here, what we're going to do about it, where we've put the baggage down, where the lightness has actually infused a new mission, a new meaning, a new purpose. And this is going to be a little bit of a taste of the fire energy that we're going to move into with the new astrological calendar and with Aries season. I want you to pay attention to the ear fluctuations. And again, this could feel like you're, going on an airplane and your ears pop. Maybe your ears are clicking. Maybe you're hearing those sirens, those sounds again. But it is like a deep penetrating ear ache that I think may connect to the jaw pain as well, to the tooth pain, to the head pressure, to the neck pain. A lot of this is sinus related as well. Keep in mind that, our third eye is in the area, in the realm of our sinuses, and all of our psychic abilities are being upgraded. Everybody has psychic abilities. They're all coming online. The ones that are online are getting an upgrade, and that can be overwhelming as well. We can be put in overdrive. We can be oversensitive. We can be overstimulated, overwhelmed, if you will. And I feel like the pressure in our heads has a huge connection, of course, to the ears, to the eyes, to the jaw. Our eyes could be burning. They could be watering. We might have to squint because of the brightness of the world around us. Sunglasses are your best friend. Even at night, you don't need to be Corey Hart and sing a song about it to wear your sunglasses at night. If it feels better, then do it. You got to do what your body needs you to do. I also want you to pay attention to the changes in your hair and to your nails. So because every single time we go through a realignment, a recalibration, the oils in our bodies go through an adjustment period as well. And so if you're somebody who is generally oily, you will see that extreme go to dryness. And if you are somebody who is normally dry, you will see a lot more oil come back into your skin, into your hair. But our nail beds are changing. You could feel little bumpies in your nail beds. Maybe your nails are brittle, maybe broken nails all over the place. What I would say to that is this is also connected to the upgrade going on in our palm chakras. We've been working on bringing the power back into our palm chakras for a very long time now. We're almost there. And you are going to be feeling a lot of those sensations in your hands, in your wrists, coming right down straight from the neck pain, down your shoulders, in your elbows, through the wrist, through the fingers. And the nail beds changing, cracking, seeing little white flecks in them or whatever the case may be is an indicator that the energy is changing, coming through your fingers. We want to see that. Now, it's not necessarily great if, your nails are brittle, and obviously that's an indicator on getting some omegas and collagen in your body and in your system. But overall, if this is an energetic symptom, we also have to understand that it is an indicator that something is changing, something is healing, something is evolving. Digestion is always an issue. Like I talked about, digestive systems have so many nerves in it. And, emotionally speaking, our nerves are rub raw at this point in time. But I want you to pay attention to those air bubbles, those gas bubbles, especially on like the left side underneath your rib cage. You might have to do a little bit more yoga, a little bit more stretching, if you will, to try and get those gas bubbles out. We are definitely going to experience a little bit of restlessness, a little bit of anxiety. How can we not? We are almost at the point of ending this particular race, and we're feeling the jitteriness of jumping into something new and taking action, all that we've been waiting for in order to alleviate this heaviness, this exhaustion. We're excited about it, but we're not there yet. Okay, and this can lead to a very uncomfortable disposition in our central nervous system and in our general overall emotional state of being, with, anticipation and anxiety and restlessness really kind of, leading the charge here. They're not good energies. Just keep in mind, they are unfocused energies, and that's why they don't feel good. Give it a focus. You can take your anxiety and you can pour it into something and actually get some tasks and some chores done around you. Give it an outlet, give it a focus, and it won't paralyze you and totally consume you. Want you to pay attention to the itchy spots coming up in your body. We should be having more and more itchy spots that we just can't seem to scratch because we're going through a major healing. Itchiness is a sign of healing. And I want you to pay attention to which areas in the body these particular itchy spots are arising. That's a good indicator when you connect it to the chakra system, connected to the organs, connected to that chakra system, on the emotions that you're actually releasing, that you're purging, and what particular area of your body that you're actually healing. Now, this one's going to be a tricky one because it's hard to pay attention to, but we're going to have a lot of hormone fluctuations. And, visually speaking, one way that you can kind of figure that out is if you have pimples and blackheads and outbreaks on your chin line, on your jaw line, that's an indicator of hormone changes. But you can always feel those hormone changes in a couple of ways emotionally too. Maybe your sex drive is up or down, right? Maybe you are enraged for no reason. Maybe you're having an emotional outburst. Yes, we are in Pisces season. Yes, we are at the end of our rope. However, those are all indicators of hormone fluctuation as well. And again, through the realignment, the recalibration that we're going through, not a weird thing to have our hormones kind of all over the place. I know many females reached out under that full moon in Virgo to say that, their whole entire reproductive system was just on squeeze, on spotlight. That is 100% in ending, a clearing out, a total purge, if you will, of the old systems, the old blood, the old debris, as we prepare to start into a brand new calendar. Just pay attention to where the hormones are asking to be seen and what it is that you can do in your diet and in your daily practice, your physical practice, I should say, in order to try and balance those hormones out. It might be a little bit difficult to get that body moving here this week. Yes, we are still feeling like we're 500 pounds running underwater, but sciatica, nerve issues, I'm going to say weakness in the legs, jitteriness in the legs, Charlie horses, shin splints. We all got some pain and trauma going on in our legs right now. Why is that? Well, first of all, because we've been treading water for the last, 3 weeks to a month here in this Pisces energy. We're very tired. But also we're gaining cold feet because we're so eager to hit that ground running that we're almost going to trip over our feet, if you will. And so we are experiencing a little bit of fear, a little bit of doubt, a little bit of insecurity kind of being manifested in our feet because there is a unconscious blockage on where it is that we're a little bit fearful for stepping into brand new territory and taking that first step into a brand new path, a brand new direction. Ligaments overall have been very weak. Pulled ligaments, you don't even really have to do anything. You got your wrists popping and, I think I talked about a month ago about, my finger just ripping the ligaments in my finger. Well, that still hasn't healed. And I notice that more and more when you go just to do normal things that you shouldn't have to think about, like standing up, that like you have foot cramps and you have tendon spasms, and it feels like we're going through a recalibration. And I feel like a lot of the ligaments, feeling pulled muscles and, very tense connective tissue in our bodies are good indicators on where it is that we're still feeling a little bit rigid, held back, restricted. Pisces season, we're supposed to kind of go with the flow and be as fluid as possible and just surrender to the motion of the ocean, if you will. But, we're all kind of janked up. We're protective. We're verklempt. We're holding our tension, our energy, our emotions in our physical body. And I think the ligament issue is a good indicator on where it is that we got to like kind of recognize where it is that we are holding the tension and where it is we have to make more of an effort to kind of be relaxed. We, in this last week, are going to be flooded with nostalgia, with memories of the past, either of this lifetime or of the old. And of course, our dream state has been hella whack, very cryptic, very deep, very prophetic in a lot of ways. But this week in particular, I really feel like we are going to just like turn the volume all the way up on what needs to come up into our awareness as far as the past goes, so that we can give it one last good like cleanse, one good purge, if you will, to get rid of it for good. Now, you may be feeling this very interesting shift in your energy where you're not so open to looking back anymore because we're tired of it. We feel like we've done the work. We feel like we analyzed it to death. We feel like we've spent too much time looking back and not enough time looking forward. And you are going to feel that tug of war, that ebb and flow take over a little bit more this week, especially as we enter into the latter parts of this week and we get that much closer to entering into Aries season. So just please be mindful of what's coming up. Ask it why it's coming up, what it wants to teach you, why it needs acknowledgement. Do the work, pick up that energetic and spiritual shovel and get to work. Unearth some things, unpack some things, because what you refuse to acknowledge in this next week is what you are essentially saying that you want more of in the new year. And I don't think you want it, to be honest with you. I don't think you want to invite it. I don't think you want to encourage it. The more effort you put into trying to avoid something, the more the universe is going to throw it in your face so that you have to acknowledge it. And we're in a time and a space right now where we're being so freaking supported in letting things go and unpacking things and closing the door on things. I don't know why anybody would take the opportunity to move into a brand new year, avoiding topics and themes that are just going to become that much more magnified and illuminated and amplified and in your face and can't run from it. I don't know why you would want to start the new year like that. So I would say it's time for us to boss up. I know we're all exhausted. I know we all want to shift. I know we're at the end of our rope. I know that we're just tired of it. But that is the time when you need to dig deep and push the absolute hardest and push the most. And we're in this time frame. We're in this last week where we really have to boss up. We really have to be more responsible. Saturn, right? The Lord of Karma, he's asking us to be more disciplined, more structured, more responsible, more accountable for doing the inner work needed in order to let go of the past, let go of the emotional baggage, let go of the unconscious programs and patterns so that we can be a little bit more structured in what it is that we invite into our lives. And of course, we will start inviting more and more into our lives when we enter into the brand new year. So guys, I think that's all that I'm going to chat about this week. I think all of us just need to conserve our energy as much as possible and just stay as focused as possible and keep treading that water, keep that head above that water line. We are not going to drown. We are together in this. We are going to link our arms together while we're all out there in the middle of the ocean, just exhausted. And if for some reason your little feet need a break, just lean in, lean on to someone here in this community and let us tread water for you while you regain your energy, because we are all getting out of this ocean. We are all swimming to shore. No one will be left behind, and we are all going to enter into this brand new year together. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time, sharing your energy, for the love, for the likes, for the comments, for the shares. I send you nothing but strength, nothing but grace, nothing but love. Let's go into this last week. Let's wrap this chapter up and let's get this new year and party started. I'm sending you nothing but love. We'll talk to you soon.